Well, hello and a very warm welcome to another episode of The Sweet Spot, brought to you by the Racing Post in association with free super tips. As ever, on the punter's bag this week is golf betting supremo Steve Palmer. Steve, how are you?
I'm okay, Dave. Yeah. Close but no cigar last week with 3 holes to play in the DP World Tour Championship. I was on really good terms with myself, but 3 holes later, I was asking myself some questions. Should have had 3 selections last week. I don't know. I'm not going to beat myself up, Dave. If I'd had McIlroy, I would have had less each way on Hogar. So it swings and roundabouts, isn't it? A Hogar place was as good as a McIlroy win. I'm not going to beat myself up on particularly in safer gambling week, Dave.
Yeah, we'll get on to that. Of course, remember you are watching us here on the Racing Post YouTube channel. Do remember to like, comment and subscribe. Did you back Rory last week? It was a short price, but he got the job done. We had tears at both events afterwards, emotions pouring out on the greens after both tournaments completed. Let's look back then, Steve, shall we? We'll start in Dubai with McIlroy, who equalled Seve's 6 in the order of merit. We know our 10 players that have locked in the kind of dual tour cards. The PGA, your boy Tom McKibben made it in there as well. But we'll talk about McIlroy and the finish to start with. He started the final round strong, and it looked as if he was maybe going to draw away and cruise home, but it wasn't straightforward.
Yeah, 4-1 winner in the end, and he'd be really encouraged with the start of these swing changes. We talked about how he's revised his swing after a month in the man cave. He was the best driver in Abu Dhabi the week before last. His driving last week got better each day. He was the best putter in round 1. His iron play was great from Friday onwards, and I think his wedges will thrill him. There were some excellent wedge shots last week, which is sometimes a weakness. The wedge on the 16th on Sunday, the key moment in the tournament, a real game changer. He had a tight duel with Rasmus Hogar, but then the wedge at 16 was stiffed, and that took pressure off McIlroy, because going to that par 3 17th hole with a lead, could play a bit more defensive on that. That's a tough tee shot, but he could play a bit more defensive. And I think the wedge shot at 16 was the key to everything. And he'll have a few weeks off now, feeling fantastic about life.
And I watched his interview afterwards, Steve, and how can you not like the man?
Yeah. Very emotional afterwards. Lots of chat about Theodoff. You'd make him odds on to catch Colin Montgomery now. He's clearly a set target for Rory, isn't it, to become the most prolific champion in European Tour history. And he's a young man, relatively young man in golfing terms. And I think Monty will be a little bit concerned. I expect Monty's sitting at home somewhere, worried about his record. When he got the 8th Order of Merit title, he must have thought no one's ever gonna catch that. But times change, and Rory might catch him. It's like Phil Taylor in the darts, isn't it? Phil Taylor, when he finished up, thought no one's ever going to get as many world titles as me, and now he's probably getting a bit twitchy about Luke Littler.
Yeah, for sure. Right, the 10 players that we mentioned, it was an ongoing story during the event. We know which 10 were going to get their PGA Tour card. We've got them. I'll list them out as well, because I want to ask you who you think will go best and maybe the first one to win a PGA Tour event out of the 10. Rasmus Højgaard, Tristan Lawrence, Paul Waring, Jasper Svensson, Nicholas Norgard, Matteo Manassero, Antoine Rosner, Thorbjorn Olesen, Rikuro Hoshino, and your boy, Tom McKibben. He made it. He scraped through. He left it late, Steve. Jesus. Which player
absolutely
do you think will be the first to win a PGA Tour event? There might not necessarily be next season. I looked and saw that Olesen I think he's got a 3rd on his record, and Manassero's got an 8th. But none of them have won a PGA Tour event. Is there a winner among them?
I think Rasmus Højgaard is the one to make the most impact. I mean, he made plenty of impact last week. 22-1 runner-up. Just the odd loose drive gets him in a little bit of trouble. That's the only real weakness that he's got. I think he'll join his brother on the PGA Tour. Nikolai will help him at the venues he's never seen before. Nikolai's had a year of experience under his belt already. So I think the Højgaard brothers will help each other. And I could see both of them winning on the PGA Tour next year. And hopefully Rasmus will have some more spectacular back nines, because the back nines at the weekend were a real test of our patience, weren't they, Dave? I mean, he parred every single hole of the back nine at the weekend.
He was on the
9 pars on
train.
Saturday. Yeah, he was trapped on the par train. I was thinking it must be like like when you get trapped in the toilets on the real trains. When you can't find the button to get out. That must have happened to you. It's happened to me on a couple of occasions. It was like Rasmus was trapped in the toilets of the par train, couldn't find the button to get out, and it was really frustrating watching him as he eventually alighted at runner-up Central. But I think Rasmus could win on the PGA Tour next year. And then you've already mentioned the other one, Tom McKibben. I think Hogarth got the first card, and then McKibben got the last card. I think those are the two that will potentially can win on the PGA Tour next year. I mean, Tom McKibben, he showed so much guts on that last hole. He maybe didn't know for certain, but a birdie there was required to earn the PGA Tour card, and he hit two magnificent shots. So perfect drive, and then middle of the green with the approach, 2-putt birdie. So and then a big hug with his compatriot Rory afterwards.
I saw that. That was lovely. Rory's won it, and he was really. Did you get your card? And he was elated.
Yeah, it was a beautiful moment on the DP World Tour, which is a beautiful tour, and long live the DP World Tour. So delighted for Tom McKibben, and I think that the future's bright for the Hogarths and the McKibbens. Not sure if he's got a little brother somewhere.
Any other takeaways from Dubai?
Yes, plenty, to be honest. I mean, Matt Wallace tied for 11th. If I'd got the place money from Hogarth and Wallace, then I would have been a solid week's work. But Wallace made 6 at the final 2 par 5s. It looked like he was going to deliver place money. 2 wild drives cost him. He ended up 1 shot shy of where I needed him. And then how can we get through this broadcast about discussing Tyrrell Hatton? I mean, I don't know what you make of Tyrrell Hatton's behaviour last week. I mean, frankly, ludicrous behaviour throughout the tournament. It was similar in Abu Dhabi.
Right chunk out of one of the fairways, and I just thought, oh man, come on.
I mean, I think it's very easy for these elite golfers to lose touch with the real world, Dave. They get paid fortunes for doing something that millions of people pay to do as their main leisure pursuit. You can't get a more blessed vocation than being an elite professional golfer. But Tyrrell Hatton, every time he walks on the golf course, looks like he's walking through the bowels of hell, doesn't he, Dave? He looks like he hates every minute of it. So I would just suggest to Tyrrell Hatton to retire. If you hate it that much, retire. You've got enough money to retire. I mean, I would retire tomorrow if I could. I haven't got enough money to retire, Dave. I don't know what your financial situation is.
No.
You haven't got enough money to retire.
Definitely
Tyrrell
not.
Hatton's got more than enough money to retire. So if he hates golf that much, just retire. And if you don't hate golf that much, put a smile on your face. Be a little bit more appreciative of the situation you're in. Because at the moment, I'm just using Tyrrell Hatton as an example to my kids on how not to behave. Like I was with my kids on Saturday. At the weekend, I was in sole custody of the kids for the weekend. And on Saturday, we watched a little bit of golf. They're going in and out of the garden. And when Tyrrell Hatton came on, it was perfect timing, because when Tyrrell Hatton came on, I said to the kids, watch this fella. No matter what happens with his shot, he'll get really angry about it. Basically, he's angry after every shot, isn't it? Unless it goes in the hole. He's angry. And right on cue, he snaps an iron. He hits an average shot, snaps the iron. It was on Saturday in round 3, and Tommy Tiger was laughing his head off at it. He thought it was really funny. But Grace, my daughter, much more sensible character, she was disgusted by the behaviour.
Do you think he plays on it a bit, Steve, or he generally is just an angry man?
I think you're absolutely right. I think he plays up to it now. It's a role that he seems to enjoy. I mean, that carry on when he was about to hit his second shot of the 18th hole. He was on the 18th hole, just slagging off the 18th hole. I think it was in round 2. And he knew the cameras were there. He knew the microphone was there. And he just went on and on and on about how much he despised the 18th hole. And it was, the caddy was just like, come on, let's play the shot. And he just wanted to keep going on about it. It definitely plays up to it. And I don't know, maybe it helps him get his Instagram followers total up. I don't know how all these things work, but it's definitely a role he plays to. But the funny thing about that one is, I think he was forgetting who designed that golf hole, because Greg Norman designs the Earth course, the Live Golf CEO. So next time they hook up for a live event, I think Norman might give him a frosty reception.
I've got to ask you, I came across a story, I think it was on social media, where the livers are going to be playing on the the DP World Tour next year. Is that right?
Well, there's plenty of livers playing on Deep Water
Yeah,
Tour at
but
the moment.
they're all
There's all
like John
sorts of
Rahm's coming
shenanigans.
back. They're all coming back to kind of
Oh,
pay
yeah.
fines or appeal fines, and they're all just going to come back in force. And there's going
Okay.
to be
Well,
this
yeah.
live
There's a lot of
contingent.
chat. I mean, the live schedule is very light, isn't it? It doesn't start for ages. So
Yeah.
yeah, you might. Yeah, there'll be plenty of live players keen to play in the Middle East swing at the start of the year. But yeah, we'll see. There's a lot of chats going on at the moment, isn't there? And we'll see what comes out in the washing.
Anything else to add?
I don't think so. No, I think Tyrrell needs to buck his ideas up. I think Matt Wallace was the fellow that you were referring to, taking a chunk out the fairway.
Yes,
I mean,
it was Matt Wallace. Yes, it was.
his temperament is really improved, and he was fantastic. He was getting over setbacks last week impressively, and there was just one shot where he clicked back in, reverted back to the
But
old.
he just walked off. I thought I
Wallace.
was disgusted. He just walked off.
Yeah. And his caddy did as well. I mean, we don't know whether it was a very short clip, wasn't it? We don't know whether the caddy then walked back, but I need to find out more about that. The caddy needed to repair that. If he didn't, then obviously this outrageous behaviour and fines must ensue.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm sounding like a really sort of headmaster like this week.
Listen, I'm just trying to be a little
Hatton,
bit
you need to improve your attitude. Hatton, see me.
Let's be more upbeat than last week's show, anyway. Before we get to Bermuda, Steve, I wanted to ask you, I've become very invested, like unhealthily invested, in Bryson DeChambeau trying to hit a ball into a hole over his house. Have you seen this?
No.
So he's up to day 7. So each day he hits that number of balls over his house, but it's like a massive glass building, and I'm just looking for him to knife one like through the front door. But I think today's going to be day 8, so he's going to hit 8 balls over his house, and I'm very, very invested in it.
So he's got a huge plot of land, I guess. Is he?
Yeah.
It'd be quite
It's all
straightforward.
glass. It's all glass. And he's going over. He's got one of his pals on the roof,
right,
on a walkie-talkie, telling him, and he's got a green the other side. I think he's hitting it basically off his drive into his backyard, where he's got a green, and he's trying to. But I'm invested because I want to see him just knife one through the window.
He is a YouTube sensation, isn't he? And
Yes.
these live guys have got so much time in their hands at this time of the year, then they can get involved in all these things. So I may tune in if I'm at a really loose end.
Okay, right. Let's go to Bermuda then, and we had tears here as well. Rafa Campos getting the job done. You said it would be windy, Steve. They were struggling on the greens as well as off the tee and approaching.
Yeah.
There was tiddlers missed everywhere. You can't beat yourself up about this one. I looked and Campos had missed 13 of his last 14 cuts. It would have been a good find if he dug this one out.
Absolutely, yeah. 300 to 1 winner and a heartwarming victory for the neutral. We are rarely neutral, but Campos had been enduring a terrible season. A 36-year-old Puerto Rican journeyman on the brink of losing his PGA Tour card. And he became a father on the Monday of last week. His season had been going so badly, as you mentioned, his wife was actually induced on the Monday to guarantee that he could play in the Bermuda Championship. The Bermuda Championship was so important to Rafael Campos' career that his wife was happy to be induced on the Monday so he could be at the birth of his first child and then play in the Bermuda Championship. And it's just the ultimate nappy factor win. We talk about the nappy factor a lot on this broadcast. He's missed 16 cuts this year. He missed 4 cuts in a row prior to last week's tournament. Then he just cruises to his maiden PGA Tour title. Just fairy tale stuff. It shows how much golf is played in ear. In ear. You play golf in ear, in your heads, as Graham Taylor would say. He just had a serene, nothing else matters attitude. If you can get on the golf course and convince yourself that it doesn't matter, even when it really did matter for Rafael Campos to pick up a good check last week. He was so happy that his daughter arrived safely on the Monday, and he knew he was going back to family bliss. He just relaxed and played the best golf of his life. I'd be surprised if the daughter's not named Bermuda. Bermuda Campos has got a really nice ring to it, isn't it? That should be the name.
But we talk about, being flaky or being a winner. And we had three guys kind of going at it down the stretch. None of them
Yeah,
had a PGA Tour win to their name. And there was
yeah.
3, 4, 5 footers being missed. Yes, it was very windy, but the nerves were jangling. They were all over the place.
No, absolutely, and I was hoping Justin Lower would win, initially because he made a really fast start, and then he was getting really angry about the wind, wasn't he? He made some really negative comments about how if there had been sort of the big boys had been there, elite players, they wouldn't have been playing in those conditions, but because it's the field was of low quality, they sent them out in weather that was unplayable. So Justin Lower was an unhappy chappy.
Well, we knew it
Keep
was
an
going
eye
to
on.
be windy before. What do you expect them to put like 50-foot windbreaks up? Like it is what it is.
It is what it is. Yeah. No, Justin was very angry, and Raphael was just gliding along serenely. So yeah, I think it came down to attitude last week. Keep an eye on Adrien Dumont de Chasser.
Yeah.
He tied third last week. He came onto the PGA Tour this season with a massive reputation. He was awesome on the Corn Ferry Tour last year. So he's had a rubbish rookie campaign, but third place last week could be the start of something. So keep an eye on him. And we should also mention before we move on to this week's action, Igor Eroshenko. Were you following Igor Eroshenko
No, I
last week,
wasn't.
Dave? I mean, he won the qualifier to get into the Bermuda Championship. He became the first Russian to ever play on the PGA Tour. He spent 4 years at the University of Central Florida, and he made the cut last week. He made the cut in his first event, and finished last of the weekend qualifiers. But it's an exciting story. You've got a young Russian trying to make his way in the world of professional golf. Everyone, as you've already mentioned, is talking about trying to get the PGA Tour and the live golfers, uniting the world of professional golf again. But maybe Igor Eroshenko can unite the world completely, because if you've got,
I'm not sure about that, Steve.
Imagine having a Russian as a PGA Tour star. Might chill Putin out a bit, and we can end this ridiculous war. But
all around with maybe Bryson and Donald on YouTube. I don't think that one's coming anytime soon.
Putin, Trump, Eroshenko, and DeChambeau. Yeah, I like the sound of that four ball.
Who is the greatest Russian golfer of all time?
Well, there isn't a Russian golfer in the top.
At him.
You could be looking at him. You probably are looking at him. He's a young lad that could be the greatest ever. And I just didn't think he got enough credit for what he did last week. It's really, really impressive to make the cut under those circumstances. We'll keep an eye on him.
Interesting. Okay. There you go. World peace coming for the PGA Tour. Right, before we look forward then, Steve mentioned it at the top of the show. This week is Safer Gambling Week 2024. We'd like you to enjoy your golf, and we'd like you to gamble responsibly as well. Well, we've looked back. We're now going to look forward to the two events this week. And we're going down under first, Steve. Where are we off to?
We're off to Royal Queensland Golf Club, Brisbane, Queensland, Australia, 7,085 yards, par 71, 3 par 5s. It's stage 2 Australian PGAs in 2022. We had one in January on the Australasian Tour, and then we had one in November, co-sanctioned by the DP World Tour. Then last year, there was only one, a DP World Tour event in November. We've also got form from the Australian Amateur to consider. That was at Royal Queensland in 2009 and 2020. We've got wide fairways, no rough. We've got pre-tournament rain this week, not much wind. Looks like a birdie fest to me. 20 under par won last year. I think you're going to have to beat 20 under par to have a chance of winning this year. A field of 156 going to post, and place your bets, Dave, by 8 p.m. Wednesday night, I believe.
8 p.m. at Wednesday. Yeah, don't let that catch you out, of course, the different time zone. Before we get into the market and your selection, Steve, give us a key attribute.
A key attribute, you must be carrying a hot putter. Yeah, I think a sharp short game. This is a straightforward assignment. You must convert your chances.
We could be looking at a putting contest then this week in the Australian PGA Championship. Right, betting then. Min Woo Lee 8s, Cameron Smith 9s, Jason Day 10s, Mark Leishman 12s, bigger prices the rest. How many in the team?
Just 2 selections. We take 2 of the 156.
Okay, right. Who is the best bet then for the Australian PGA Championship?
Lucas Herbert, 14-1. Herbie goes bananas this week, Dave. I think he's best equipped to reach that super low total, which will be needed to win this. He finished 7th in this event 12 months ago. That was his last DP World Tour event. Then he joined Live Golf. He became a ripper. He understandably took a little while to settle, but a brilliant 14 under par weekend in Live Adelaide in April kick-started his Live career. The Rippers won the team event that week. Australia was abuzz with Ripper Mania, massive galleries that week. It was a massive moment for Lucas Herbert. He finished 6th in Live Houston in June, then 6th in Live Greenbrier in August, 6th in Live Chicago in September. The joy of 6th. You finish 6th in a Live event and you bag a huge check. He's made a fortune through those 6th place finishes. Then he was absolutely rolling in it after Team Ripper won the Live Team Championship at the end of September, the final Live gathering. Herbert holds some clutch putts late in that event to get Rippers over the line. His decision to join Live, you could say, has been justified in many respects. I mean, he won 3 times on the DP World Tour at the start of his career. He won once on the PGA Tour. Now he's banked an incredible amount of money in a short space of time to feather the nest of silverware. All is rosy in the life of Lucas Herbert. And last Sunday, he ticked another thing off his bucket list. He won the New South Wales Open on the Australasian Tour. That's his first win on the Australasian Tour. Outscored everybody in the field in the final round. Closed with a 67, a 3-shot triumph. He's based in Queensland. I think Lucas Herbert is the best golf bet of the week.
And he's based in Queensland as well. We're going down that road as well.
We're going down that road. Yeah. He's very comfortable. He's nicely acclimatised after last week. I think he's by far the most appealing prospect in this field.
I love a bit of local knowledge. Right, we've got that there then with Lucas Herbert. Who is the other selection then, Steve?
Elvis Smiley. 80-1 Elvis Smiley. Elvis is in the building, Dave. A little less conversation, a little more action, please. And Elvis Smiley has been producing great action in the last few weeks on the Australasian Tour. His form figures are 3, 1, 8, 5, 24. His win was a gutsy playoff victory in the Western Australia Open a month ago. That's an overdue breakthrough for this great talent. The 5th spot came in the Queensland PGA at the start of this month. He's a Queenslander. He's a prodigy. He was brilliant from a young age, turned pro at the age of 18. He's still only 22. I think his career is about to take off. He was a quarter-finalist, Dave, in the 2020 Australian Amateur at Royal Queensland. His form figures in this event at Royal Queensland are 12, 12, 40. Great pals with the course designer. Mike Clayton is the course designer. Clayton has caddied for Smiley in this event before. Smiley will be licking his lips at the setup this week. He's a giant left-hander. Nice, soft, wide fairways for him to attack. I think he's a fantastic each-way bet.
Oh, I love that. Big price as well. And he's 22, Steve. So, we're going to see him sort of come over.
He's only 22. Yeah, he needs to gain access to the DP World Tour. And I think he could do so through the Australasian Tour quite swiftly. We've been waiting for Elvis to take off. Honestly, he's a quality youngster, and we've backed him a few times, but patience will be rewarded. Get as many each way places as you can. 2-man attack on the Aussie PGA.
Well, I'm rooting for him just for the future as well, because the fun we can have with the puns with him will just be sensational. So
That's it.
Elvis is in the building. Right, some of the market leaders then, if you like,
yes.
Steve. Do you want to rattle through sort of for and against for those at the head of the market?
Yeah, sure. I mean, Min Woo Lee is 8-1. He won well last year. He's the defending champion. He was fourth in both of the 2022 events here. So his form figures on this course are 4-4-1. You've got to respect that. But he's been struggling for Top Gear this year. He broke a finger in the lead up to the Masters. He hasn't won this year. He was humbled by the President's Cup. Mike Weir used him for only one match before the singles. I love Minwoo Lee. I'll always love Minwoo Lee, but I think he's just chugging along in second gear at the moment. I think he needs a break. I think he should have skipped the Australian events this year. So Minwoo Lee's contesting favouritism with Cameron Smith, who's a similar price. Cameron Smith missed the cut by 9 shots last year. Yeah, it was really embarrassing for him. He's the hometown hero. He was a humbled hometown hero last year. And this time he's clearly keen for redemption. He's properly prepared. He's played in 2 Australasian Tour events as warm-ups. He was 3rd in the Queensland PGA at the start of this month. And he was 2nd on Sunday in the New South Wales Open. But he led by 2 shots going into the final round. Lucas Herbert played amazing on Sunday. Smith was rubbish on Sunday. He carded a 74. I think that was an untimely dent to confidence because he'll be feeling a bit of pressure this week after what happened last year. Course winner, great record in the tournament generally, but I think Herbert is better value.
Do you think there are many people out there that would contemplate backing Jason Day at the price he is?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, it wasn't for me. I mean, 9-1. I mean, he hasn't competed since August 25. He's making his course debut. He doesn't normally play in these events in his homeland. This is the first time he's jetted over for this sort of event for donkey's years. Injury played, 37 years of age. I mean, I stopped backing him ages ago.
Yeah,
I'm certainly not going to start backing him this week at a short odds like that. So no, Jason Day was easy to overlook. The other two are a bit more difficult to get away from. But yeah, I just think Lucas Herbert is by far the best value. 14-1's enormous.
Okay, lovely. Anything else to add there, or should we move on?
No, let's move on to the RSM Classic.
Right, we are in Georgia then, and we've got the defending champion as the favourite for this event as well. We've got Minwoo Lee at 8-1, and we've got Ludwig Aubert at 11-1, who heads the market. He won this event last year. Talk to us about the track first, Steve.
Yeah, we've got 2 courses. We've got the Seaside course and the Plantation course, Sea Island, Georgia. The Seaside course is 7,005 yards, par 70. The Plantation course, 7,060 yards, par 72. We have a round at each before the cut is made, and the final 2 rounds are at the Seaside course. The Seaside has hosted since 2010. The Plantation course was added to the tournament in 2015. Accurate iron play, sharp scrambling, the keys to success. It's a pretty easy course in calm weather. Wind is the defence. It's often windy, whereas the Plantation course, a bit more inland, an old parkland track, got 4 par 5, so it's easier to make a score at the Plantation. The weather forecast is mixed. Plenty of breeze expected for the first 2 days, and then a calmer weekend. So the scoring should be better at the weekend. A field of 156 is going to post.
Okay, and I mentioned Ludwig Aubert as the Anthony Post favourite. He won it last year, first European to win it. He won by 4 shots as well. What is the attribute we're looking for? What sort of player are we looking for, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, accurate iron play and sharp scrambling. I mean, getting up and down around these tricky greens is challenging. Ludwig Aubert last year, we'll come to him. He's not one of my tips this week. We'll come to him, but his iron play last year was absolutely sensational. Yeah, lots to discuss.
Right, he is clear favourite at 11-1. Davis Thompson, 22s. Siwoo Kim, 28. Brian Harman, 30. And then it's 33 bar. How many? We've got 2 in Australia. How many in Georgia?
We've got 3 in Georgia. 5 tips in total, just to show off my math skills there.
Well done. Congratulations. Right, the main pick then is
Davis Thompson, 22-1, who he backed for his last event, the Shriners Children's Open, you may remember. Massive draw bias there. Thompson got the worst set of tee times it was possible to get, yet still finished 5th. 66, 68, 66, 66. He was 41st in the putting stats in the Shriners, yet finished 5th. His swing was in mint condition. This is a player who made his PGA Tour breakthrough in the John Deere Classic at the start of July. He was a hero for me that week. He won by 4 shots, got me on a golden summer run. Just prior to that, he was 9th in the US Open, 2nd in the Rocket Mortgage Classic. This is a world-class youngster. I've been following him since the moment he stepped on the PGA Tour. And that was in the 2019 RSM Classic. That was his PGA Tour debut. He finished 23rd in that event when still an amateur. He was the king of Sea Island in his college days. He starred at the University of Georgia. He became world number one amateur. He had form figures of 2-1-2 in the Jones Cup, which is a prestigious amateur event played on Sea Island. He won that tournament by 9 shots in 2020. This is his domain. Davis Thompson essentially owns Sea Island, Dave. Anyone else who comes on the Sea Island, he says, be on your way. Davis Thompson's dad is the tournament director of the RSM Classic. I mean, honestly, this is his domain. Davis Thompson will be the king of Sea Island forevermore. He still lives locally. He's played the Seaside course about 160 times in his life. He knows the course like the back of his hand. So yeah, I'm expecting Todd Thompson to be handing the trophy over to his son on Sunday. Maybe we'll see some more tears there.
Yes, well, I don't think he'll be getting a bad tea time, will he? My man.
Well, this is it. We have discussed this before because I am a regular backer of Davis Thompson in the RSM Classic. Yeah. Hopefully, Todd can use his authority sensibly.
Allegedly. We don't want to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No
My concern is he goes the other
no
way.
Accusations here at all. No accusations here at all.
No.
Right, so here's the main selection. We've got 2 others. Who else do we like?
Next best is Austin Eckroat. Some 40-1 still out there, I believe. He won the Worldwide Technology Championship in his last start. Then he had a week off. He's back for another really suitable assignment. He finished 8th in the RSM Classic on his debut 12 months ago. He was in dismal form in the weeks leading up to that event, so shows a liking for the track. This time, he arrives in fine fettle. He closed with a 63 for that win in Mexico. It was his first week with a new type of putter. He fell in love with a different putter to the one he's been using for basically his whole life. He won his maiden PGA Tour title in the Cognizant Classic in March. 2 days of wind, as we said, is forecast in Georgia this week. That'll encourage him. He's grown up in Oklahoma, one of the windiest states in America. He's shown up well in assignments similar to this one. So yeah, I think there's every chance that Eckroat completes a PGA Tour hat-trick at the age of 25 on Sunday.
Okay, so he is the next best then in the RSM Classic, and completing the team is
Seamus Power. 30-1 Seamus Power. Come on, Seamus. We are keeping the faith with Seamus Power. Slow out the traps last week in Bermuda. He opened with a 72 on a windy opening afternoon, playing catch-up all week. Closed with a 65, though, Dave. Nobody outscored him in the final round last week. Finished the tournament in 23rd spot. Another decent check banked. 7 of his last 8 tournaments have yielded a top 30 finish. He carded a career low round of 62 in the Zozo at the end of last month. He finished 13th in the Zozo. So Power, I think, is making up for lost time. He had an injury issue that we discussed last week. He's back, looking fit, looking good. And the RSM Classic is another great assignment for him. He's teed up in 2 of the last 3 RSM Classics. He missed last year through injury. He finished 4th in 2021. He finished 5th in 2022. His last 9 rounds at this event have been in the 60s. So, yeah, I think Power's going to get out the traps quicker this week. I think he'll contend for a 3rd PGA Tour title.
That's lovely. And he'll take a lot of comfort, I think, from that 65 last week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely horrendous conditions.
Yeah. He just quietly moved up the board, outscored everybody in the field in the final round. And Seamus is definitely back to something like his best. He's a really solid bank of form coming into this event. And I think he'll be licking his lips at this assignment. He wants to get a win before the end of the year. This is a great opportunity.
Yeah, sounds like a really solid team there of 3 for the RSM Classic. Just talk to me about some of those at the head of the market. Then we touched on the Jolly. You're not with him. He's top price 11-1 at the time of recording. Price a big factor of that, Steve?
Well, it's more the long injury layoff, isn't it? We were on him for this last year. It was so satisfying. You might remember he reached 29 under par, won by 4 shots. It was the second leg of a double with Nicolai Hogar in the DP World Tour Championship. It was a joyous occasion, but we need to move on. It's different this year. He's had knee surgery. He hasn't competed since the Tour Championship, which concluded on September the 1st. I would say only his biggest fans can back him this week with that sort of preparation, but I am probably his biggest fan, and I'm not backing him, so I can't say that. He's had 2.5 months off, Dave. If he comes back and wins straight away after 2.5 months out of competition, then he's even more amazing than I realised. But yeah, at the price, I have to reluctantly leave Ludwig alone.
Yeah, I think if he was firing on all cylinders, he'd probably justify being that sort of price, but he clearly isn't.
Well, if he had a warm-up
then,
spin, Dave, you might be tempted. But first time out, like he qualified for the DP World Tour Championship last week, and obviously thought he wasn't ready to come back last week. So I think that speaks volumes.
Yes, yeah, very true, very true. Siwoo Kim, Brian Harman, word on each of those.
Yeah. Brian Harman has got a patchy record in this event. He lives locally. You think it would suit him down to the ground, but for whatever reason, maybe he just doesn't come firing on all cylinders. I mean, he just sort of rolls out of his bed, and I don't think he puts as much prep into this as perhaps we think he does. He's a pretty carefree character, doesn't he? He doesn't really like golf much. There are lots of golfers that don't like golf. He's a free spirit. I mean, Tyrrell Hatton's probably the golfer that doesn't like golf the most from what we're seeing. But yeah, Thomas Peters is on record as saying he hates golf. I just get the impression that Brian Harman prefers hunting to golf. So I suspect he's been doing lots of hunting in the last couple of weeks, but not much practice. But there's plenty of tempters at the top of the market there, but nothing apart from the three that I've gone for. I mean, Nico Echeverria would annoy me if he wins. I've jumped off the Nico train. He was very tempting this week, and Eric Cole played well here last year, showed up well in the Zozo. Those were the other two that came closest to selection. But as you say, a three-way attack on these three looks the best course of action. So yeah, we've got not many tips. There's plenty of opportunity to enjoy a healthy week of responsible gambling.
Lovely, and we will do that, of course. Before we do a tipping roundup and cover who you're tipping, I've got to ask you, I try and keep the greyhound content to a minimum, or if not non-existent in the show, but very quickly, because I know that you are a big fan of Bocco's Diamond, and you're on anti-post as well. Yeah. Sitting quite pretty, Steve, heading into the Irish Derby final on Saturday night.
That's it. The semi-final was the concern because he was coming out of trap 3 with some decent dogs around him. Things could have gone wrong, but he stepped out with alacrity. And, did he match the course record again?
His own track record, yeah.
His own track record, yeah. Bocco's Diamond is the best greyhound I've ever seen in my life, the fastest greyhound I've ever seen. And he will, I expect, win the Irish Greyhound Derby on Saturday. Really exciting week ahead. We got golf, we got darts, of course, we got greyhound racing. Luke Littler did the business in the end last week. I was pleased with Luke Littler.
Barry Hearn already calling him the GOAT. Do you agree with that?
Wow. Well, the greatest teenage darts player ever, that's for sure. Phil Taylor didn't win a title till his late 20s, did he? So, yeah, I mean, he is on track to be the greatest ever if he sustains this form because he started out so young. I think Luke Littler's going to win the Players' Championship finals this week. I think he'll beat Josh Rock in the final. So they're the two players I've backed for the Players' Championship. And Bocco's on Saturday night and our golfers there. Yeah, we've got a really exciting week ahead of us.
Lovely. Right, remind us then, Steve, of the team of 5. Who are we going for in the Australian PGA Championship?
Lucas Herbert, Elvis Smiley.
And in the RSM Classic,
Davis Thompson, Austin Eckroat, and Seamus Power.
Marvellous.
Seamus the Power. Seamus the Power. Look. Team of 5, yeah, team of 5. I mean,
lovely stuff. Let us know. Let us know who you're backing in the comments below. Like and subscribe as well to the Racing Post YouTube channel. Reminder to enjoy your golf, gamble responsibly, and of course, we'll see you next time.